Let me talk a little bit about the French. You know, after all this business, nobody seems to like the French much. I love them. I spent a lot of time in France. I taught French at West Point. And the French did not do everything right in Algeria. I'll give you, they did a lot wrong in Algeria. One of the things that they did do was a reflection of French society. The French don't like their army much. They don't trust them, especially since 1962 when the Legion tried to take over the government. So they're a little wary of their government, of their army. But what they did do, they would send young French captains into villages, into the outback of Algeria. And the captain would conduct an analysis. And he would say, well, we need a force structure of this to provide security. We need so many educators, given the number of children that we have. We need so many nurses, doctors. We need agriculture experts, water engineers, construction focus. So they would develop something called a special administrative section. And they would bring forward, and they had a tendency to be young because the French have national service. And you have a choice of serving in the military or serving in other venues. So they would put these SAS teams, special administrative section teams, together to come in. Sounds a lot like the PRT, the Provincial Reconstruction Teams. However, our PRTs are large units with area coverage. The French were small units with local coverage. And the PRTs are headed up by lieutenant colonels. That's a pretty high rank. There's also a disconnect in who goes outside of the wire and who's, so in an 80-man PRT, you may have only 16 to 20 go outside of the wire to do the good things that PRTs are supposed to do. So we have just not put together a package that seems to make sense. And I know certainly that we have not invested Afghani leadership to work with this structure. So it goes back to my earlier point. We have a broken national security system in the United States of America. It is antiquated. We have a State Department that has slightly more Foreign Service officers than does an aircraft carrier strike force. I had more people in my brigade at times than the entire Foreign Service officer that the Secretary of State can bring to bear. That's nuts. And you've got a budget that is less than 10% in state, less than 10% of what we have in defense. You've got a Secretary of Defense who says that's nuts. So we've got an opportunity to get after it. And my recommendation, and we don't fix things from within. The executive branch is not going to fix this. The legislative branch has got to fix this. So some brave congressmen and senators have got to get together here and get serious about reforming our national security system. Your soldiers will love you for it, and the United States of America will be safer, and we will be more efficient for it. Thank you.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes. I want to get through as many questions as we can, so please be efficient, clear, concise with the question. For any of the three panelists, before I do that, I just want to quickly reference the URL for the Progressive Caucus hosting these Afghanistan forums, cpc.grijalva.house.gov. And that's where we're hosting all the testimonies and video and upcoming forums, things like that. Yes?
Yeah, I was hoping one of you could speak more on the drug trade. Oh yeah, sure. My name is Rob Ainsworth with Executive Intelligence Review. If someone could speak to the role of the drug trade a bit more, and of course this money is going out of the country to Dubai and some of these other offshore banking centers. So, but just in general, how that's affecting things and what measures can be taken to shut down that trade.
And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a handful of questions, and then we can let the panelists address them. So the question on drug trade is.
Hi, I'm Nina Basker with Congressman Caucus. In the last week or so, we've been reading about a new law related to women in Afghanistan as sectors of civil society, as well as our desire to, and maybe our responsibility to implement internationally or promote internationally recognized human rights standards with our need to engage with the Afghan government and the more conservative sectors of Afghan society, as well as the need not to appear to be pushing foreign values.
Excellent. And to her note, Sweta Nouri, who's the country director for Women International, will be on our final panel on May 13th, the 6th panel, and we'll address some of those issues that she identified. And Julia.
Yeah, Mike Donner from Congressman Conyers. I was wondering if the panel could address, with what knowledge they have, the logistics of securing the border with Pakistan.
Great. Any other questions? Drug, human rights, border security. Phil.
We'll go with further progressive Caucus. To what extent are the U.S. forces, all the NATO forces viewed as foreign occupiers at this point in Afghanistan? And that is a widely held perception. What military strategy can possibly succeed when there may be a large, widely held view of just driving out any foreign presence?
Great. It's a good diversity of questions from drug trade and policy to human rights to border security to perception of possible foreign occupation. Any of the panelists feel like addressing one or all?
Certainly. A couple of reflections on the last two questions and then fuller answers on the other two. In terms of foreign occupation, I think it's a risk. Back in 2001, Afghans across the board welcomed the international presence as liberators and looked to a partnership with the West specifically, but global integration as a route forward for Afghanistan. Hekmat might have further reflections more recently from Afghanistan. I think it's still possible, but I think then a couple of things become very important. One is the training effort of the Afghan army, so that Afghans themselves can take on an internal struggle, is absolutely critical. The Afghan government must be leading this fight with its partners, training, mentoring, providing the assistance necessary behind. And the second is, despite the failings in the UN agency as development actors, so I don't think they can have the role of economic coordination, the importance of a UN mandate is absolutely critical. If we remember the UN meetings back after the tragedy of 9/11, the global consensus on a partnership with Afghanistan. And therefore it's also partners like Saudi Arabia, the Gulf, China being part of a global partnership with Afghanistan and moving away from a conception, because it doesn't need to be like that, and East versus West becomes absolutely essential. I'll leave the logistics of the securing the border to others, but just a reflection that we do need absolutely, as I think and the President's new strategy recognises this, a new strategy for the FATA that is deeply sensitive to the culture and issues of rule of law, changes the way we approach it, and the possibility, while a border may be necessary, the Durand line is extremely controversial. Some ideas that others have proposed for a zone of cooperation across the countries where economic integration becomes key, could be an important part. On women,